Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us. This is the last episode of Shagalinku for the year 2020. How we've come a long way. Today's program, we'll be doing a whole lot of greetings here and there. So, forgive us if we break protocols and we start doing a whole lot. In fact, from the beginning of the show to the end of the show, we'll be doing a whole lot of greetings. And you too can be part of all that. Just drop your greetings on the comment section. Some people ask for the phone lines. I'll see if I can type it out later. But then it is plus 234-8085-06697. That's the number to call in if you don't want to send a message or go to the comment section and drop your greetings. Just call that number and you'll be on to greet your friends and loved ones. It's the last episode, like I said, and I really must thank everyone who has always been there for us. We get viewers from Asia, viewers from Europe, viewers from Ghana, viewers from Kenya, and all that. So numerous to mention, but as the program progresses, I'll be greeting a few people I can remember. It's inexhaustive, so please don't feel bad if I don't remember to greet you. It's not intentional. Anyway, we've been running a series called the End of the Year series. We started a couple of weeks back and we were just tilting towards building and preparing our minds for the end of the year. So we started off with how people need to save and spend wisely during the festive period. That was before Christmas, and how families need to also remember that whatever spendings and celebrations they are doing right now, they should also know that in January, there'll be house rents to pay, there'll be children's school fees to pay, there'll be upkeeps. Children will also need other things. Even for people who are not married, there are aged parents, there are siblings who are relying on you for a few things. They will also come knocking on the door. And January is usually not a friendly month for a lot of people who refuse to plan during December. So we went on also to talk about social media, how people need to also be wary of social media and be careful, because a lot of movements will be going on, and then people will be meeting new people, strangers becoming families and all of that. So they need to be careful too how they expose their social media details and all that. We also went on to talk about on another episode, we went on to talk about the dangers of the festive period, because there will be a whole lot of vehicular and human movement and traffic during the festive period. And then with the COVID-19 pandemic, we're also telling people how they need to be careful. And if they must travel, they should travel safely and wisely, not forgetting to maintain, observe the cautions, here and there, face masks, sanitizer, social distancing, and all that. And then we did a whole lot more. So today, like I told you people last episode on Saturday, that I'll be bringing in the lady who was my first guest when Shagalinku TV decided to move from the mainstream to online. By the way, we were on the mainstream, but when COVID came and then there were restrictions of movement, we couldn't actually go to the studio to do the program anymore, and then I couldn't bring guests to the studios and all that. And a lot of fans said, hey, why don't you even move it online? I mean, you have a lot of presence on Facebook, on YouTube, and all that. Just bring all of us there and we will watch you. So that there's COVID and there is a lockdown doesn't mean your program will just go off. And I thought about it, talked to a few editors, talked to my crew, and they said, yes, it's a good idea. We already, as at that time, we already had 4,000 viewers on our Shagalinku Facebook page, and they were like, let's just continue from there. It really doesn't stop anything. And the first lady who was our first guest on the show was Geline Fuko from Tanzania. And in spite of the network and all the challenges that we had, that was why I decided that I will bring her back again here to be the last guest for the last episode of 2020. We'll be talking a lot. We're looking at what are the lessons learned, from all that happened in 2020. What worked for you, what didn't work, both as individuals and as a society. So for all of you watching right now, please do drop your comments on the comment section. Let us know what worked for you this year. I got a couple of messages, and I and my guests will be reading them as the program progresses. And keep your messages coming. We'll also read them, and we'll pick your calls on +234 8085066976. Anyway, let me bring in my guest. She's been waiting. Let me just bring in my guest, and then we could take the discussions further from there. I have Geline all the way from Tanzania.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
I'm fine. I'm fine. Thanks for having me again as your last
Yeah.
guest.
You needed it. You were our first guest on the show when we came online, and I thought there's no better person to wrap up the show. We call it the bottom pot in Nigeria. Welcome, Jalene. It's good to see you.
Thank you and congratulations. I've been following the show and it has grown so much. So congratulations for the hard work. You really
Thank
did a
you.
lot.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Jalen. And for our viewers, Jalen is an all-rounder. You could call her the jack of all trade and master of all. Jalen is a music producer. She's a lawyer. She's also a social worker. She's done a lot in women development. She's done a lot in ICT and a whole lot. We'll get to see all that as the program progresses. But let me even start with the first things. Jalen, you owe me a music deal. We were supposed to do a song together, and somehow I've not been able to come to Tanzania again. So when will that deal happen?
Actually, I'm look behind me. It's a studio. I'm working on your beat, and then I think I'll send to you as soon as possible.
Woo!
Maybe later tonight or maybe tomorrow. I have already started
Wow.
drafting it because I think you need something nice for your show. You deserve it.
Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Jolene. So back to you. How have you been able to cope? You are one hardworking lady, and so unassuming. That's even the part that got me most. You do a lot, and you are so simple and easygoing. And I wonder how you find time to do music, your passion. I know you may not have time to practice law anymore, but for the community work that you do, you still find yourself bringing back your wealth of experience in law to the community to know what to plan in the office and all that. And then you do a lot of travels to be a facilitator, a consultant, a this and that. How have you been able to cope with all that, Jalen?
I must tell 2020 has been a very difficult year, not only for me, for everyone. I feel like everyone was struggling how to, like how to survive in 2020. The fact that, uh, we didn't foresee this coming, so it caught us off guard, and a lot has to change. At the beginning, just like everyone else, I just locked myself inside and then trying to understand what is really going on. And my main aim at that particular time was at least to survive, to fight the disease and be able to survive post COVID period. So I did a lot of learning about the disease, trying to understand how it works, and then at the end of the day, I figured it's already here, and we needed to survive. At the end of the day, we need to learn how to live with it. So that's what I think that was the turning point. And luckily, even in Tanzania, the approach to COVID was different compared to many other countries. So it was easy to we had choices. You could choose to go up there and be and live with it, or you can choose to lock yourself inside. And for me, and luckily with my team, we decided to go out there and try to see how we can help, um, first, the civil society sector to navigate around this period. And as you know, we are also working on around ICT issues, so it was easy for us to assist some of the civil society organizations to 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 continue working using ICT during this pandemic. So I mean, surviving was, I think it mainly was a choice. It was the choice we made that we can go out there and survive and continue doing what we do best, because if everyone is locking themselves inside, what will happen? I mean, life has to go on. So I think that the choice we made that really give us the strength to go forward. Yeah.
Well, that's a beautiful one. When you talked about how people could just survive, it just dawned on us that for a lot of people, when we've been telling them to have a second source of income, a handwork to do, a skill rather, they felt maybe we were just trying to drag them out of their posh or comfort zone. But that lockdown really played out a lot for people who didn't have other skills. It just
Yeah.
at some point people were just looking for food to eat, because even
Yes.
if you had money in the banks, you couldn't access them at some time.
Yeah.
So much
Yeah.
is happening. Even if you stocked your home with food, at some point they were exhausted. So people who had skills were people who were able to survive, so to say, earn extra cash, do
Yeah.
consultancy here, do a little facilitation, do field work here. So it dawned on a lot of people, because I personally also had calls. People were like, hey, that your social work you were telling us before, can we do it now?
Yeah. I
So,
tell
and I'm
you.
like, yeah. And I'm like, where have you been all this while? We needed you to join us and do all this, but you refused. So how was the cause for you, particularly for women? Because when you kept telling women to empower themselves, it looked like you were saying, okay, get out of your husband's home, or don't train your children anymore. They always see it in a different light. So how was it like for you, and how did you cope with women who were pressuring? Because women were worst hit during the COVID-19.
Yeah, I mean, we have, I'm a member of many women groups in Tanzania, and I remember at a certain point we were joking like, hey, we can't be home all the time, like our husband really, they want us all the time. So apart from everything else, women were highly struck because, as you know, in African context, we are the providers. We are to watch out about almost everything, and I feel like men were more scared than women. So yeah. We tend to joke about, like, we needed to survive, we have to resume to a normal life with precautions. So for most of us, we use mask every time, like we had sanitizers with us everywhere we go. But I mean, that is a privilege for few. The majority are still struggling to even access masks. So I remember I supported one organization to reach to one um, development partner to support them to produce masks for women in the village. So that was one of the strategy. We were like holding hands, where you see there's an opportunity to access resources or to access support. That's what we exactly what we did. Again, in my context is different. The most affected area, I could say, was in urban Tanzania, and the majority of the rural area were, I don't know, somehow protected. So it was easy I mean, it was easy for women in the urban to find a way to go about it. And for mostly, I think, looking at my grandma, looking at my relative at the village, they were hardly care about COVID, because I don't know if we don't have reported cases of COVID in the rural Tanzania. So yeah, so that was, I think that was the way we were excused from the COVID. But again, Tanzania is a bit different from the rest of the world when it comes to COVID. We didn't have full lockdown. Actually, it was partial lockdown for few for students at the universities and primary schools, and some organization, mainly international organization. But the rest, everyone continues life as it was before. So my experience might be different from the experience from a Kenyan woman or Ugandan woman who experienced a completely lockdown. So yeah, so for us, I think we were a little bit privileged to even go out and go extra mile to access the support. But just like any other community, I mean, COVID has hit us very badly, and I feel like I mean, we look at the businesses. At a certain point, we had to shut them down to change the way we live, to direct our investment or our expenses to like to things beyond the normal groceries. So that was, I think, the challenge as well. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Geline. In case you just joined us, this is the Tuesday's edition of the program, and it's the last one for the year. And I'm talking with my guest, Barrister Geline Fuko. She's a lawyer, an ICT specialist, and also the General Secretary of Tangible Initiatives for Local Development in Tanzania. I'll be talking with her more to tell us about what she does and what they do actually in Tangible Initiative for Local Development in Tanzania. But first, let me start my set of greetings by saying thank you to Oppo Phones. They were also part of us this year. They sponsored some of our episodes and made sure that we gave gifts items to some of our viewers. I also must thank CS DevNet and PACJA, some of the topics we did on climate change as regards to the pandemic and the COVID-19 issues. They also supported some of them. In fact, for 3 months, PACJA and CSM DevNet supported Shagalinku consistently for 3 months, from October to December, where they supported us, with finance to make sure that we were bringing out issues that affect women when it comes to the pandemic and then climate change too, because a lot of women still didn't understand that there's a relationship between climate change and COVID-19. So they did a whole lot for that, and thank you so much. And a lot of our viewers, we've had so many astute and regular viewers all across the globe. One I must really pick out and thank is Mr. Chris from London. That man watches Shagalinku like it's his daily job. And the funny thing is, he doesn't even contribute to the program. He doesn't comment. He doesn't do send comments or anything. But he watches from the beginning to the end. In fact, sometimes in London, when we start the program, he just screenshots the screen with me and my guest and sends it to me on WhatsApp, just for me to know that he watches every episode. And then he inboxes me later or calls me to tell me, I like what your guest said, I didn't like this, or you should do that. I must really thank Mr. Chris all the way from London. Another very regular and fanatic fan that we have is Mr. Karim Jackson from Philippines, Asia. He's also been a guest a couple of times on this show, and I'm sure a lot of you also know him. Karim Jackson is from the Philippines. Even when the Asia is a whole long hours different from us, sometimes we need to schedule him at 2 a.m. their time. He still finds time to happily be on the show, and we really must thank him. Another person we also need to thank from the axis of Ghana is Mr. Nelson Koko. Mr. Nelson Koko is always on the show, commenting and commenting and all that. Before I go on to ask Geline another set of questions, let me finally just say this one before we go to the next set of greeting later. Also to Miss Eunice Adiambo. She's from Kenya, always watching the show. I'm still wondering why she's never been a guest on this program. She's always watching, always supporting us and commenting and all that. Anyway, let me come back to Geline. Geline, I'd like you to tell us a little more what you do in Tangible Initiative. But then let's even talk first about the Obama paparazzi, that thing blew the internet, when you were also a fellow of the Mandela Washington Fellowship. How was it like for you? Take us through your journey in the Mandela Washington Fellowship. Hello, Geline. Hello, Geline. Can you hear me? Okay. I think Jeline's network, excuse me, Jeline's network has gone off. So we'll wait for her to come back. I was asking her to take us through her Mandela Washington fellowship that she did in the United States and how it was for her. Can you hear me now, Jeline?
Can you repeat the last question, please? I mean, you were breaking up.
Oh, sorry. So I was saying, before I go on to ask you what you guys do in Tangible Initiative for Local Development in Tanzania, I'd like you to take us through your journey in the Mandela Washington fellowship that you did in the United States, and the Obama presence was so everywhere. You broke the internet that period when it specifically and particularly also mentioned you amongst other fellows who were doing greatly. So take us through the journey in the Mandela Washington Fellow.
Thank you. Actually, that experience and that opportunity has been a, something that has really changed my life completely. I remember I remember the time I was at the airport leaving to US for the program. I was just dealing somebody who is working on the issues around the community issues, particularly human rights, and nobody really cared about what I was doing. And but prior to that, I was home one night and I was listening to President Obama speaking to South African youth when he visited South Africa. Why? And he was introducing the program, and the way he was like speaking about it, I felt like he was actually talking to me. So it was my first time for me to take that initiative to apply for leadership program, and I got lucky and selected. So we went to US and we were placed with a organization is called Presidential Precinct, which actually hosted us for 6 weeks. And while we were there, we had an opportunity to attend classes with the University of Virginia, College of Williams and Mary, and had time to spend time with three presidential homes, like place where Thomas Jefferson, President Thomas Jefferson was living, James Madison, and James Monroe. But something that was so interested about that program is that I've been working so hard in areas around constitution and making sure that people understand what the constitution is all about, and it's about them. So I had a really an opportunity to stay in a place where for US is the base of their constitution, where the Declaration of Independence was written, where the Constitution of United States was written, and had to use the same libraries and spend some time there and get that vibe. I think you understand, getting that vibe of the fathers of the constitutions in the world. So for me, it was really empowering, and on top of that, acknowledgement from President Obama was very humbling. I didn't expect it the moment I left the airport of Dar es Salaam. I didn't know I will be acknowledged in that way. So by the time I returned, the whole scope about the link changed, and I think it took me off guard, and I, like you are not ready to yet to face the. I mean, nobody tell you this is the time for you to start like going out there and really have an opportunity to speak and people to listen. And I think I decided to take that um, as a challenge for me to grow as a person, but also as a leader, and to start trying to, I mean, to put those things that I've been working on for so many years out there, and for people to understand, for people to listen, and to see how they can join the like the movement. Yeah, so I mean, that is in nutshell the experience with Mandela Washington Fellowship. But I mean, it's a very good program, and I would wish every young people in Africa would have that opportunity to participate. It just challenges you as a leader to understand beyond yourself, to understand exactly whether you understand what you're doing, because sometimes you are doing for the fact of doing. Sometimes we lose focus, sometimes we forget the African dream. But having that kind of program really brings you back to understand, like, what was your goal, what is it that you want to do with this, like, what is it that you want to contribute. Yeah, so I mean, that is in a nutshell what the program was all about.
Well, thank you very much. In case you just joined us, we're looking at what are the lessons learned in 2020, what worked and what didn't work. So, we'd like you to drop your comments for us and share with us what worked for you, what didn't work, what lessons you learned. My guest is Geline Fuko. She's a music producer. She's a lawyer. She's an ICT specialist, and then she's the General Secretary of Tangible Initiative for Local Development in Tanzania. Okay, I would still ask her her some of the things she does in that space. But then let me take a few messages here, and then Jalin will reply or respond to them. Some messages are here. This one is from Daniel Akojimil. He says, a lot is to be said in the year 2020, but above all, glory be to God. Personally, one of the lessons learned in this year 2020 is that self care is a priority and not a privilege. This is a year that has proven good health is better than riches. He also goes on to say, as a society in a whole, lesson learned is that freedom is not free and it shouldn't be taken for granted. I will encourage anyone saying this to enjoy the moment God has given us and to celebrate the gift of life throughout 2020. That's from Daniel Akoji Mills. Um, Jalen, you have anything to say here before I go on to take the next message? There are so
um
many messages here, but I'll take it one at a time and you will respond at each one.
Yes, I mean, self-care, that's the biggest lesson I think we've learned in 2020. Like, if you don't take care of yourself, you are not going to survive. And we needed to survive, I mean, to complete what we are doing, to complete the mission. Um, as we know, COVID-19 doesn't spare you for, like, the moment you get into contact with it, and if you are in a category of vulnerable groups, it means you don't have much time to do pretty much anything. It's not like other diseases, like when you talk about HIV and AIDS, where you can say you'll have time to do something. So I mean, self-care is a priority. And maybe one thing to add to that, for me as well, one of the biggest lessons in related to what he was talking about is we have a responsibility to ourselves, to making sure that we take care of ourselves, but also we have a responsibility to taking care of the humankind. Why? Because if I get infected, everyone else around me is also infected. So some people might say, we are young, if we get infected, we'll get well. But what about everyone else around you? So not only that you take care of yourself, you have a duty and a responsibility to take care of everyone else. So COVID-19 not only gave us a challenge to understand ourselves, but also remind us of our main responsibility of taking care of each other. And I think that is one of the lessons. The second thing is the lesson that I think we needed to reflect is humans have been placed in an angle where we never thought we would have been, and that made us, like, exhaust our ways of thinking. We no longer have to think like we used to think before. Everything has changed. So we needed to figure out how to survive in this context. In that context, we've seen a number of innovations uh, around education, around healthcare, around politics, around economic activities, and I think that is a positive thing, because we were taking things for granted. We wanted something to remind us our brains are bigger than how we use them. Now, if you open TV, if you're following different forums, you'll understand how much human being has done within a period of 10 to 12 months. So I think it's a lesson for Africa now is, if the world is running fast, it's thinking too much. Now we have seen vaccine is there. What can Africa contribute in this global context of think tankers? Yeah, so I think that will be my contribution.
Thank you very much, Geline. I'll take some more messages here again. Um, okay, this one here says, this is from Pascal Achunine. It says, compliment of the season, good people. Be assured that the barriers are not erected. Let's step out of our comfort zone in 2021. Endeavor to stay safe, and God bless you. I'll take this one from Sarah, and then you'll give your response to that one. Sarah Sam says, the lesson learned in 2020 for me is that there is need for savings. The resource is very scarce, but from it, one must save out of the meager earnings to serve as a fallback in managing unforeseen circumstances or disaster like the COVID pandemic. Most people suffered from hunger, for instance, before government intervened from March 2020. It was quite challenging, and only God saw us through. Sarah Sam. Jalen, what do you have to say about that?
I mean, I feel like with this COVID, we have learned a lot, and I must agree with everyone. Like when you're talking about savings, for example, um, COVID has put us in a position where we had sometimes to choose between going out there and looking for food or staying inside and die. That is because the whole culture of saving for most of us is, because I think of our economic backgrounds, has been challenging. So as far as we are fighting to survive, I think everyone has to sit down and start questioning whether uh, the way we are living now can help us save just to survive in terms of pandemic like that. So I agree. Savings is a question that not only should be discussed at a personal level, but also at a family level, but also at the national and country and continental level. Let's talk about saving and in terms of at the personal level, at the family level, at the country level, and see how we can progress. Because today we have COVID. Who knows what will happen in 2 or 3 years or 20, 50 years to come? We don't know, because we don't know and we don't have technology to know. I think the best way is to save. But again, coming back to what you were saying before, Emmanuel, sometimes you might have money, but you can't really do anything with it because you are locked inside. So I think we have to figure out, which I think is a big question. I mean, to put it here, I think we need to figure out how to protect, I think, the world first, so that we can avoid all these. For example, issues of climate change. Some people don't take it seriously, but if the impact of climate change happen, it does not affect you, it will affect everyone else. So I think everybody has to take responsibility in protecting the country, I mean the world. About like going out of your comfort zone. I think that is something that I think that is something, for me, it has worked for many years. And you were talking about me being producer, talking me about me being ICT and law. It's because I feel like if you feel like passionate about something, don't really ignore it. You will never know at what point that passion will contribute to something big. I remember when COVID-19 happened. Trust me, I've never done any computer courses before, but I'm very passionate with ICT. And I remember it was me and my colleagues and my fellow co-workers who took a voluntary action to support civil society organizations here in Tanzania to understand how to survive in a digital era. And it was very useful at that particular time. And if I share with you the testimonies, how organizations survived, were able even to, some never even heard about Zoom. And it was us who helped them to understand how it works and to help them continue working. So if you can help one organization or help 2, 3 organizations based on something beyond your comfort zone, beyond the things that you've been trained to do, it means it might be a solution to most of our problems. And I was reading one note from a friend, and he said, um, don't really ignore your passion, because you might know it might be the solution to a cancer disease. So yeah, let's get out of our comfort zone and try to be wild. I think it's a very good lesson to us and to Africa in particular. So thank you, Emmanuel, for that.
Okay, thank you, Jolene. I'll take. There's one of our intern who's been doing so well for us here. She's one of our crew member, and she would like to just come in and say hello to you and chip in a few words. Let me see if Favor is here. Favor is actually a Sierra Leonean, but she's living in Nigeria, and she interns for Shagalinku TV. Hello, Favor. Can, can you hear me, Favor? Hello, Favor. Are you there?
Good afternoon, sir. Good
Yeah. Please go on, Favor.
afternoon.
Jeline is here, and she's listening.
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay, so go on. What has worked for you? How? What are the
Hello.
lessons learned this year?
I
I
can
know
hear
you've
you,
been
sir.
following.
Hello.
Yes. So go on. Go on.
Hello. Good afternoon, sir. Hello, mom. It's a pleasure meeting you, and congrats on the recognition from the former president. That was amazing.
Please go on. Go on, Favor. She's listening.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, well, 2020 has been a wonderful year. Good or bad, it has been a really wonderful year. Because despite the COVID-19 that happened, which took the entire year away from us, literally snatched the year away from us, it was a time for a lot of lessons. It taught people how to live with themselves. It taught people how to live with other people. It taught people how to get close to their families and bond with family members. It taught people how to be one with the community. in their spending. It taught people conservative. Yeah. So it taught me a lot of people have there were too many lessons to learn, learned lessons, personal to take care of ourselves, many. And some of them find out that some people learned they were alone. They learned who had their backs. Some people learned of banking, putting all your trust in a certain much trust in a certain way of. For instance, you have a person that she always wants to go out, she wants to have, and then COVID-19 came and she sick because she's not used to just staying up, just indoor all day. And also, most importantly, and a lot of people learned how to depend on themselves. In the sense that, for instance, people and were laid off, made them self-sufficient is a very important lesson. Me also learned that lesson. For us to learn how to survive, it's important to learn that things are tight. Even when we were restricted out, people couldn't go to work. People lost their. But you see, I did a great year for ideas. People brought out drones. They were able. They were going to services without even we see coming up online. We see, in fact, there were too many.
Oh, okay. I think okay. She's gone up there. So, Jolene, I'll come back to you. Favour actually had said she had a question for you. I hope she comes back and then be able to ask her question too. I'm sure you inspire a lot of ladies. So, how do you cope when we talk about the girl child education? It's still sad that in Africa, we still find um, teenage marriage, young girls being groomed and primed for marriages when they should be groomed for education. We still find young girls being exchanged, as money collaterals for families. And there's no way we can talk about women empowerment if we don't also face girl child education. So how worrisome it is for you, and each time you talk with girls, and I know you now become a role model, you've gone to school and all that. For the African woman, how do you begin to also teach them that they need to also groom the young ones coming? Because the truth is, a girl just gets to the age of 12, 13. The next thing, even her mother is grooming her to stay well. You need to be a wife. They'll soon get you married. You need to do this work. You need to be a good mother to your children, as if she's not a human being that also has her potentials. So quickly just answer that, or maybe just hang on to that thought. Let me bring Favor and for her to quickly ask you her question, and then you can answer mine. Favor, are you there? Oh no, Favor's network seems to be very bad. So, okay, Jalen, take that one, and then if Favor comes back, we will put her on to ask you her own question.
Thank you so much. And before I jump to the question, I must say what Favor was saying is pretty much, like summing everything happened, and we've learned to appreciate small things. But to appreciate things which at first we thought they were small things, but actually they were big things. For example, just being outside the house. Who before COVID thought that would be a precious thing? Nobody. But now we see those things that we thought were small things as very precious things. About how I contribute to inspire young girls. For me, I did one thing. First, I looked at what things that I'm good at. Like, I tried to assess myself at what areas that I'm good at, because when you try to inspire someone, you really need to know exactly what you're doing, because sometimes you might tend, instead of really helping girls, you might be the one really putting them into more danger. And one of the things that I've learned is that I had an opportunity to have a platform to contribute to changing, or to contribute in strengthening institutions. And when I'm talking about institutions, I'm talking about laws, I'm talking about policies that we enact in Tanzania. And every time when the parliament is in session, you will find me in Dodoma, where I would just be there and try to make sure that these laws, that these bills are being tabled, really have taking into consideration infrastructure for young girls to survive in the present context. So apart from that, we have also built a system. It's called the Parliamentary Forum, where people had an opportunity to really talk about laws, to contribute to making laws. Because I believe if we have a law that says whoever marry a child underage is committing a crime, that will be a foundation for every other effort. Like, if you're going out there talking to these kids, they know if somebody wants to marry me at this age, somebody else will come and hold them accountable. So there is diversification of areas where I'm very much focusing on. For me, it has been around like strengthening laws and policies. But apart from that, I've been traveling all over the country, actually, trying to teach people about constitution. And when I'm there, I always meet young girls and talk about constitution. So I'm trying to tell them about their rights, their roles, and their responsibilities as young girls, that if they finish school, they have a bigger responsibility, not only to themselves, to their families, but also to the country. And being there, standing there, telling them how we do things, like how hard it was even for us, even though we are standing in front of them, really has been inspirational. I remember when I started primary school, I actually sat on the stone, because back then we didn't have enough desks for everyone. And it was like, after after the assembly, everybody would be told, okay, go back to your classes. You have to run to make sure that you sit on a desk. But I mean, you can't really every day sit on a desk. Sometimes you might miss because people would run faster than you and you will have to sit down. But we were able to get out of it and become champions. So these are the stories we tell them, that you will be, like, even in our struggles, it's just a mindset that will put you down. If you choose to fight the context, you choose to fight the context. And on our part, we will keep on trying to contribute to policies and laws, to make sure that as you are fighting, we are fighting, so that we can meet in the middle. So I think that has been the main contribution, I would say, on my part. Every time I go to the parliament looking at the bill, I will have an angle trying to see how will this law help a woman, a girl child. Maybe it's a political party's bill. How will a woman in this context be able to participate in a political space? And I remember I've tried also to meet a number of different political parties in Tanzania, trying to tell them what really has been a challenge for women to participate. For example, costs associated to running, for example, for member of parliament. You needed to buy forms, you needed to pay for for your campaign, a lot of expenses with a woman who doesn't have, like a source of income, substantial source of income. It's very difficult. So some parties decided to reduce that, to take that out of their parties, that women had. Every time a woman wants to go for member of parliament, their form will be paid. So this is how we contribute, not really day-to-day meetings to inspire them, where I'm trying to focusing on strengthening institutions so that every girl child, regardless where they are, can have that privilege and the enjoyment of the infrastructure. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Geline. Favour, if you can come back so that you quickly ask your question, because we'll be wrapping up soon. In case you just joined us, this is the Tuesday's edition of the program, and ironically, it's also the last edition for the year, and I'm having my guest here, Geline, all the way from Tanzania. She was our first guest when ShagalinkuTv moved from the mainstream media to the online platform as a result of COVID-19 and pandemic lockdowns and all that. As at that time, there were restrictions of movement. People hardly could even go out. And then our fans were like, why don't you just put it on YouTube and Facebook, and we could even enjoy it from there live. It makes it easier for everyone to watch you and make their contributions. And so that birthed ShagalinkuTv online here. And Geline happened to be our first. And by the way, I met, I can't remember where I met Geline again. Maybe she will help me, either in Nairobi or in Tanzania or in Nigeria, but I just can't remember. I think there was one point where just globetrotting, and then we're always meeting. I think Geline needs to help me to get that where we met again. Was it in Tanzania or Geline, help me, please.
Yeah. I remember exactly where we met and how it happened. Actually, we were invited by Search for Common Ground together with
Oh,
USAID in Nairobi at the iHub, where we were supposed to learn about how ICT can help in development work. And I remember I was in one room where you were presenting about your show, and I was at the audience listening to you talking about how successful your show was. And I remember coming back to Tanzania. One thing I did was to have that online stream sessions during election times, and allow people to learn about why it's important to have peaceful elections, and also to inform them about election conduct back in 2015. And I think it was September 2015. That's when we met, and then we met again in Abuja, and then we met again in Dar es Salaam. So we've been friends since then.
wow! You are really an encyclopedia. I just forgotten some of these memories. And I remember in Dar es Salaam, you guys took us to one office that had so many computers, and I was amazed at the marvelous work you guys were doing. Is that still the tangible initiative for local development?
Okay, so that was the organization I used to work with before, and it's called the Legal and
Okay.
Human Rights Center. And
Oh,
then after that, then we, together with my colleagues, we opened our another organization, that's Tangible Initiative for Local Development
okay.
Center. And the Tangible Initiative for Local Development in Tanzania pretty much is an NGO, tech-driven tech-driven NGO. So when you look at a mode of technological NGO that is inspired by technology, you would definitely come and see us. And we have such kind of systems and hubs and computer centers, because we believe in, if we want to move forward, we really needed to invest in technology, and we feel like technology is an opportunity to really amplify what we are doing. So we have built a number of technological initiatives here in Tanzania. including a parliamentary forum where citizens could have direct access to their members of parliament. And then we have another platform where journalists can learn about laws that guide the media sector. So it's pretty much around development and the human rights aspect. But we are 100% technological organization. So everything we do is about technology. Yeah.
Wow, keep it up, Geline. Time is
Thank you.
running. How time flies when we're really having a good time. But we'll be wrapping up soon. But let me quickly read this message, and then I'll play that video where former President Barack Obama highlighted you, and then you'll come back and respond to this and give your final words of advice. This one is from Matthias Idris, and it says, "Actually, the pandemic has taught a lot of lessons. A great one of the lessons learned was that one should learn to save and have at least one skill. Because during the lockdown, lots of jobs were closed down and the workers were not paid. Only those who had extra skills in their shells were able to do a little to generate income, while those who had none were greatly affected." Anyway, just hold that thought. You'll come back and reply. But let's quickly watch this video and then we'll come
We're
back.
going to keep standing with you. America's going to keep standing with activists like Geline Fuko of Tanzania. Where's Geline? Geline is a lawyer and human rights activist. A few years ago, she thought people in Tanzania should be able to use their mobile phones to read their constitution. So she went out and designed Tanzania's first database of constitutional resources, opening up her government to more of her people so they could understand their law and their rights and their responsibilities. So thank you so much, Geline, for the great work.
Okay, Geline. So let's have you, and congrats once again. That really made us proud. That video went viral everywhere.
Thank you. So
Okay, so
can you repeat? You're breaking up. You're breaking up a bit.
okay, so I was going to say, should I read back the last message from Matthias? He said, I wanted
Yeah.
you to respond to Matthias. He says, actually, the pandemic has taught a lot of lessons. A great one. One of the lessons learned was that one should learn to save and have at least one skill. Because during the lockdown, lots of jobs were closed down and workers were not paid. Only those who had skills, extra skills in their shelves, were able to do a little to generate income. Those who had none were greatly affected. Yeah. Did you get
Yes.
that?
Yes. Yes. Even though you were breaking up a bit, but I got that. I think. The great thing about lessons learned and about this show is actually I feel like it's more listening and hearing more lessons learned from everywhere else and this what happens in Nigeria, what happens near right now or to continue collecting these lessons learned and try to not only end up by mentioning them, but rather going deeper and try to see how we can invest on them. Masai Idris was talking about one skills, or at least one skills, savings. It's a very good observation.
Whoa, I think Jelin's gone off there. So while we wait for Jelin to come back, um, I'll just also like to give my last set of shout outs to people who've also been there for us. I also want to thank Chief Ogbenyalo, all the way from Ireland, Dublin. She's been so supportive. Um, always been one of our she's always our viewer and also has been our guest a lot of times, all the way from Ireland, Dublin. Chief Ogbenyalo, thank you so much for your support. And then we have Chinasa. Chinasa used to be in Nigeria, Chinasa Imo Ude, but now she's in Chicago, pursuing her master's degree in Chicago. So Chinasa, thank you so much. And yes, to Favour our intern, Favour Bassie, and also to our editor Rose, all the crew members in Shagalinku. I want to really thank all of you and everyone who's always joined us, who watched even after the episode, and all that. I'll still just wait and give Jelen a few minutes to come back, and then we'll wrap up on the program. I wanted her to even just say her last words of greetings, and then we'll wrap up. So I really want to thank everyone. And yes, the next time we'll be seeing will be in 2021, God willing, and I hope that things will be well. So let me just bring Jalen to wrap up, to finish up her statement, and then wrap up. Please go on, Jalen. Sorry, we lost you at some point. We lost your connection.
Yeah, I think we had an internet challenge. I'm sorry. But what I'm trying to say is let's go beyond mentioning uh, the lessons learned. Let's go further by trying to work on them. If there is a scientific that we want to skills, we are now also to take care of. I don't think we can. I don't think we can succeed in the world with this thing. Yeah. So,
Um, I think Jalen went off again. Jalen, please, when you come back, do try and come back, please. Let's wrap up. We want to have your final words of greetings to everyone. Yes, I listened to you up until the last part, but couldn't get the immediate last sessions that you had. But yes, thank you so much. I got a message here. Okay, I got a message here. Thought I could have Jalen to be here so that I could read it out from one of our viewers. This is from Esther Boyoma. It says, I love the point she gave about having multiple streams of income. Thank you so much, Esther. That's we can never overemphasize that fact. We can never ever overemphasize that fact. So yes, Jalene and Favor, if you're there, I'd like you to come back and just wrap up. Okay, Jalene is back, so let me bring her on for her to say her bye. Sorry, network has been terrible with you, but Jalene, quickly respond to this if you can. It's from Esther Boyoma. It says, if you can read it, please do, and then respond.
I love the point she gave about having multiple stream of income. Ah, okay. Yes. As much as we have multiple stream of income or savings and all that, I must insist the fact that at certain point they might be invalid. We have seen with COVID-19, there was a point you have money, but you can't go out because, and especially to some countries where COVID hit very badly. For example, countries like Italy, you can't go out because it's very risky. So as much as we are taking precautions at personal level, at the family level, at the national level, the main precautions that we should take is to making sure that we are taking care of the world. Like we are taking care of the world so that we won't get where we have been. I mean, it has to be the major lesson because at the end of the day, we don't know the nature of the risks that we are potentially going to get if we really don't know how to take care of the world. So I think that's my main intake. Yes, make sure you have savings, make sure you have extra skills, make sure you take care of yourself and your everyone around you. Make sure you learn about what is going on, follow the news, follow the researchers and scientists, listen to what is, like the lessons learned and everything. But at the end of the day, if we don't take care of the world, we are in a bigger trouble because something bigger than COVID might happen, and nothing that we've prepared of might work at that particular context. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, what's your final word of advice or any final greetings you want to give felicitations to people as your final parting word for 2020?
I think let's take 2020 as an important year for us to really sit down and reflect and making sure that nothing like that happens again. But let me wish you a prosperous and a blessed 2021. I hope 2021 it will be more of appreciating the nature, more appreciating the small things that we have in our lives, like just going outside and be outside without mask. So I wish you all the best for 2021, and I hope we will meet again. I hope Ambassador Emmanuel, you will invite me again. This time as a listener to hear more about you guys, and how your 2021 is all about. So thank you so much. Happy New Year.
Well, thank you so much, Geline. It's been amazing having you on the show. And yes, we will bring you again and again as time permits you. You're a very busy person, but then we'll find time to bring you. Okay, people, this is the size of the program. And I want to thank everyone who joined us today. Particularly, I want to thank my guests today, my last guest on the last episode of Shagalinku for 2020. I'm so honored to have come around. Geline is a very busy person. We've been planning, even before the end of the year series, we've been planning her reappearance on the show for so long, so long. Geline is extremely, extremely busy. So I really don't take it for granted that she found that time to come here and really do this, because I really loved, I wanted the first three people who opened up Shagalinku when we went online to also be the last three people who would wrap up the show. And I achieved that by the last three sets of guests we had. The second one was the guest we had last week, Saturday, Chinasa Ude. She was also one of our guests. In fact, I think her edition was immediately after Jeline's own. We had her the next week or so. But Chinasa is currently in Chicago, yeah. So we had her on the show, and then I really wanted Geline to be here, and then God made it possible, and she joined us in spite of her. In fact, she had to still travel down to make sure she was able to be with us here. Thank you so much, Geline, and I hope we'll have you going forward in 2021, because we'll have a lot to talk about in our January series. We need to also begin to work the mindset of shaping the mindset of people in the new year, so they don't also wake up in December 2021 and realize that they wasted a whole lot of time not really doing much and all of that. So people, I want to thank you all for joining me. To everyone, all of you that have supported this program one way or the other, through airtimes, through finance, just to make sure that we come up here. I really want to thank all of you. But I will reel out these greetings again. I want to thank Oppo Phones for supporting us in some of our episodes of the show and even giving us gifts to give our viewers. I also want to thank CS Dev Net and Pakja. They are into climate change. They supported ShagalinkuTv for 3 months, supported us for 3 solid months, financial support to make sure this program was on, and then we could talk about climate change. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yes, to Mr. Chris in London, thank you. To Karim Jackson in Philippine Island, Asia, he's always been a regular guest and also a regular viewer. Thank you so much from Asia. And to Nelson Coco in Ghana, to Eunice Odiambo in Kenya, thank you so much. To Chief Ogbenyalo in Ireland, Dublin, she's always, every time we call her, even if it's a few hours to the episode, she's always there to join us. Sometimes our guests need to travel, they can't come on, and then we just need to replace the guests at the dying minutes. And I reach out to Chief Ogbenyalo in Ireland, Dublin. She's always there, just like Chinasa as well. Sometimes when our guests can't show up, either for an internet issues or something, or they're on transit, once I reach out to Chinasa and Chief Ogbenyalo, they are always there to feature on the program. And every other person, all our guests, I really can't start mentioning, but all our guests that have featured from March up until December, we want to really, really thank you. To Mr. Edwin too, who sometime we had him on the show to talk about how COVID dealt the economic impact in our economy. He also had to be in London at some point. He lives in Nigeria, but at the time we needed to do that interview, he was in London. But he still found time, in spite of having to do so many meetings at that point. But he still found time in London to join us, and that is to tell you how people are really eager to join the program. I really get really amazed, when I see the support they show every time we need people to join us here on the program. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And to my crew, you guys are wonderful. We did it in 2020. God willing, let's do it in 2021. So thanks, everyone. Till I see you in 2021. My name is Ambassador Emmanuel Kabari, urging you all to stay blessed and have a beautiful Tuesday and enjoy the rest of the week, and wishing you a prosperous 2021. God bless you all, and bye-bye.